Welcome to the Breaking 90 podcast, where we talk about all things sustainable fat loss. We take people on 90-day journeys to creating fat loss forever. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoy the episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Breaking 90 podcast. I'm your host, Alex Harriman, here with my co-host, Kelly Sarlo, and we are two of the coaches of Breaking 90 Fitness. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hey, Kelly.
Hi, Alex. How are you?
I'm good. You guys may have to bear with my dog barking in the background because he's spotted an intruder walking past our yard. So I'm trying to get him to settle, but if not, that's Gary on the podcast with Kelly and I.
An intruder that you let into your backyard?
Correct.
Yeah. Good boy. I have just something I wanted to share before we get started. Our little guy is in volleyball for the first
Cool.
time. Yeah, and it's just like 4 little sessions. He's 6 years old, but it's been so fun watching, like, I'll say the evolution of coaching. I don't know if you can like reflect and relate to this, but they're not even touching a volleyball in the first session. And it's like the coaches are teaching them how to move their bodies with like coordination and dynamic movements so that by the time a ball gets thrown onto the court, these kids have some kind of bodily awareness. I don't remember being taught that way. Do you?
I didn't really play volleyball much until like grade 7.
Okay. Yeah.
So we had it in like gym class and stuff. I think I played maybe like one little like fun tournament in like grade 6, but I definitely didn't play at their age.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. I started playing like grade 4, so definitely not as young as 6 years old, but like just the way that kids are being taught to move and understand themselves, I just think is really phenomenal.
Oh, the advancements in sports and sports training is like through the roof
Yeah.
compared to even when you and I went through it, which wasn't like a crazy long time ago.
Thank you for saying
And it's way more advanced now. Even just like the physical training that is tied to sports now is so much different. Like I don't know if you remember, but I remember doing like tons of plyometrics training for volleyball, like just jump and 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 climb this hill and do these wall sits, and it's like you're gonna get so much better at jumping. Like if we had added strength training at that age, we would have been so much better off.
Yeah, it's really fun to see the advantage that this generation will have in just their own health and fitness compared to, what we did, compared to what our parents' generation did.
Oh
It's
yeah.
exciting.
It's completely different. It changes it, but I mean it's an equal playing field because everybody's doing that stuff. So it's not like one person has this huge advantage, but if you're not doing that stuff, you're gonna fall behind.
Yeah. And I just mean advantage to their overall health, right? When you have to be that in tune with your body to do those kinds of movements on a day-to-day basis, that translates to you knowing when your body's starting to hurt, knowing when you're maybe a little bit more, prone to injury or something like that. Like there's just more awareness, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
What do you got today for a topic?
I want to talk about moms.
Cool, let's do
Uh,
it.
yeah, I'm excited, and it's that time of year too, right? Pardon me, I hate that I just said that. It is the calendar's celebrated time of year to talk about and focus on moms, but moms are the 24/7, don't have a break in their role. And I want to gift them this opportunity to think about themselves differently, if that's okay.
Let's do it.
I know, and I'm excited for you to weigh in. So much of what we run into when we get on calls with potentially new clients who are really interested in certain health and fitness goals is their excitement for what could be for themselves. And then immediately this like flood list of buts that involve my partner, my children, my family that I have to take care of, my work that comes first. And it's just like this never ending list of other people and responsibilities. And like, if they make their list, their own list, they're last. And I just wanted to talk about, like the different ways that we can reframe how we are perceiving our own life as moms.
Pile on to all of that, a world now that we're living in that's like everybody has to always be busy. Right? Like it's not like they're like downtime's almost non-existent for most people. Now pile on all of the things that moms take on top of that, and it's like it's amplified times a million.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't have a particular order that I want to necessarily go in. I just really want to talk about at some point, like the role that we're playing or the role model that we are exhibiting, the belief system around what you deserve versus what everyone else deserves in your life, so that we can maybe break down some barriers of belief systems, whether they're conscious or not, and really set them up to make decisions in a different headspace.
Cool. Awesome.
Awesome. So, do you want to jump in first, or do you want me to kind of just lead?
Um, it's up to you. Like I have a lot to say on the topic, but I don't want to throw you out of order either.
I'm not in an order, so you jump right in, and
Yeah. So right out of the gate, I think something that and something that's huge to me is that when we prioritize ourselves and our self-care and our non-negotiables, we become the best version of ourselves.
Mhm.
And that's it's me saying that right now, like the listeners are like, oh yeah, that's a no-brainer. But we don't all do it. Right?
Yeah.
And like I'm guilty of this too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying by any means that Kelly and I have this all figured out. But it's something that you should be and we should be actively working towards every single day,
Mhm.
making opportunities to take care of yourself so that you can become the best version of yourself because nobody else is going to do that for you. Like of course we should prioritize those around us. We need to take care of our families, we need to take care of our friends, we need to show up for these people, but we also really freaking have to show up for ourselves, guys, because nobody else is going to the way that you can for yourself. So keep that in mind as you go through this episode because I think it's really important.
Yeah, and I don't want to come from a place of like crazy privilege because I recognize that there are some people in situations where you really do have a lot on your plate. You really don't have a lot of downtime. The reality is just so, right? We talk to many women who are working multiple jobs, have multiple children at home, might be doing it as a single parent, etc. And you're right, there isn't a lot of opportunity. However, always be aware of that trap of all or nothing thinking, right? Because a lot of moms in particular will fall into the idea that if I can't eat a well balanced meal at every meal, then I'm just going to do the convenient thing. Or if I can't get in a 30-minute workout, then I'm not going to work out, I'll push it. And when we say all or nothing, there's a world of beauty that lives in between that, where you could maybe do 5 minutes of resistance training or body weight, right? Or you could eat one great meal in your day and make sure that you're making optimal choices. And what we're talking about is focusing on bare ass minimums if that's where you need to start.
Totally. If you are a young adult listening to this and you're in school or working and you've got no other outside responsibilities, being a house to take care of, a loved one to take care of, a family to take care of, it's not easy to do this. But you now pile on these other things, it becomes exponentially harder. So we can never compare two people's situation and say that, oh, this is what I should be doing. This is the ideal. Because everybody's priorities are different. Everybody's goals are different. Everybody's lives are different. And so what's ideal for one person absolutely isn't going to be ideal for you. We can use it to learn, we can use it to draw some goals and objectives, but you still have to carve your own path. So when you hear me talking about prioritizing yourself, like that might be 5 minutes a day to start with. It
Mhm.
might be that you have a shitload of extra time and you can put in 90 minutes a day. But for a lot of people, that's not a reality, and that's okay because something over nothing is always better, right?
Love that. I also wanted to talk about the idea of all or nothing, not just with regards to what you as an individual can do, but how A lot of mothers will actually do all or nothing with regards to, I will give my children all
Mm,
and I will give myself nothing.
mm.
Meaning, or what this can look like is, I will put my children in 3 extracurriculars, and I can't afford to do the thing that I know I need to do or would benefit from. I will put them in all of, I'll prioritize all of their play dates, their sports, their activities, their desires, and I will not give myself any of those things. And I think this comes down to, hi Gary. This comes down to really evaluating, like, what is enough? And I know this is like an existential question, but we do have to sit back at some point and go, okay, would my kids still be thriving if they were in one extracurricular in a week? And that would allow me the time, the energy, and the finances to also be in something that builds me up, my esteem, my health and fitness, etc. Because this idea of this super mom is, I do everything for my kids. And really and truly, sometimes it's too much. And because we're doing all over here, we think nothing is the only thing that we can give ourselves. And again, we can redistribute our resources to make sure we're all being helped, we're all being nurtured.
And I know you don't love this frame, but if you don't take care of yourself, you don't show up optimally for others. And I know I know where you're coming from when you say, well, we need to show up for ourselves. Like we shouldn't have to do this for others. But if your goal is to be the best parent in the world and show up for those kids, like give yourself the best advantage to do that.
Yeah.
If you're constantly go, 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 go looking after them, like you're sooner or later gonna be a little bit you're gonna draw some resentment from that. You're gonna be a little bit grumpy when you don't want to be grumpy. You're gonna be overtired. You're going to feel underappreciated. Like these are normal things if you're grinding yourself into the ground without taking care of yourself. So you have to make these opportunities. And then aside from that, taking care of yourself now allows you to live that longer, healthier, better life so that you can continue to do whatever you choose to do in years to come, because this is only one stage of your life.
Yeah, that's a brilliant point that you're making. And I had it on my list in the sense that often when I sit down with coaching clients, we look at core values. What do you value in different areas of your lives? And I always look at parenting as its kind of own standalone section. Who is it you're trying to show up as for your children, right? What do you want to bring to that role as a parent? And one of the things I always encourage parents to think about is independence, right? Yes, you are a parent and you are a whole human being outside of that role. And if you aren't nurturing that part of you, then you get really enveloped into this sole identity of who you are, that you are just a mom. And I'm not discounting what it takes to be a mom, okay? I just mean that there's more to you than that role, right? So what ends up happening that I think a lot of people don't understand until they're really like in the thick of it is that when you're giving your kids all and you're not giving to yourself, you over identify as this parent, for example, and then what happens is you become kind of overbearing or you become over-involved and you become over-responsible, and their decisions, their choices, their activities become your identity. And then your kid doesn't actually develop the independence and the self-esteem that they need to become whole human beings, right? And that's when I start to see with my own clients this whole shift of, oh my God, my kids are leaving the nest and I don't know who I am without them. I see
Totally.
parents who want to move to the same city or state as their kids because they don't know how to have a life without them, right? So there's a huge connective piece that happens if you are not prioritizing your own health and fitness and your own identity. It trickles into all areas of your life at different ages and stages, even though, as you just mentioned, this is just one stage of your life.
I can't tell you how often I've had this conversation with somebody when they first joined Breaking 90 Fitness, where they're like, my kids are either teenagers or they've moved out. They don't need me as much anymore. They're not around as much anymore. They've got their own lives going on. And maybe this person's working, maybe they're not working, but their husband or their partner, if they're still together, often has other extracurriculars. He goes out and golfs on the weekends. He plays poker with his buddies on weeknights. But they're like, I don't have anything else. And now my kids don't want to spend every evening with me, or they can't because they've grown up. So now I go to work for 40 hours and I'm at a loss for what to do with the rest. So now I'm ready to prioritize my health and fitness. And I have time to commit to this and I have finances to commit to this. Well, like when you think about that, it's really freaking sad. And I hate to see anybody get to that because you feel as though you've lost a massive part of your life and you haven't. It's the natural evolution, but you've created it in a way that you now have lost a massive part of your life.
Yeah, and honestly, it can really deeply affect your relationships as well in the way that you are not hoping to. In that when you're over identifying and you're putting your whole identity and being on your children, you expect certain things from them. You want your interactions to be there. And when they are growing up and being independent and they're like, well, my friends are my priority, or my now significant other, or the family I'm creating is more important to me, you can sometimes walk in with some subconscious guilt messages to your children, your adult children at that time, where you're actually driving them further away and you're not getting that connective piece that you truly want from them because you have unfulfilled needs that you refuse to acknowledge for so long,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that weighs on your health and fitness as well, because that's into your mental and emotional, and then your energetic state, which may be suppressing the what people will call motivation to get up and move or eat better.
Totally. And I hope you guys listening to this don't feel attacked, but if you do, like we're saying it out of love for you. Like we think that you're all superhumans, and the stuff that I've seen my wife and my son's mom, Devin, do is incredible. Like I don't discredit any of that. I know what you guys are capable of. I know what you can juggle. We're just this is purely out of love. We want to show you your path to also taking care of your health and fitness on this journey.
Yeah. And I just had this conversation. I kind of want to go backwards into one of the things that we were saying. You show up better, right? You show up in the way that you actually want to be a healthy mom for your children. A lot of people still have not made or know how to make the connection between healthy nutrition and your brain operating in a really healthy way. So when we are grabbing convenience, when we are prioritizing, the packaged foods or the foods that taste, a little tastier to your children, we're not necessarily getting the brain food that we need to be functioning from a good place. And what that means is your nutrition is chemically altering your brain, right? It's altering your gut, which alters the brain, and it just works in this feedback loop. And so if you think about, oh my goodness, let's set the stage for some different ages of your children, okay? That little toddler stage where they have 1,000 questions in 10 minutes and they're saying, "Mom, mom, mommy, mom, mom," and you've got the nagging sound happening, you're already at a lack of patience at a certain degree, right? Like at first it's sweet and it's cute and you want to answer everything and then you're like, "I need a break." And then you've got kind of the teenage stage where they're trying to make their own decisions and they maybe aren't necessarily exercising the best judgment because that frontal cortex is not developed properly yet or fully. Like you've got different issues that you're dealing with at different stages in parenting. If you're not fueling your brain to be able to also access your judgment center, you might not be at an optimal state for problem solving for your kid, for showing up with patience, for having the ability to access your language center and communicate clearly, right? And I don't mean to get into like the actual biological aspect of things in the brain, but nutrition affects your ability to access these faculties.
Something that's really interesting about that too is that the more you start to eat like shit, the less you start to realize that
Yep.
because you're like, it becomes your new norm and you kind of forget what it used to feel like before. So you just adopt this new norm and you're like, oh yeah, I always feel groggy. I always feel tired. I always feel unclear. But you didn't. You just allowed that to become your new norm. It's the same with like getting out of shape. We've all been there and been like,
Yep.
whoa, how did I get here? right? And we've all been in good shape and been like, I never want to lose this. This feels amazing. But then something happens and you get to the point where you're like, how the hell did I get back here? And it's similar, but then even aside from nutrition, I'm sure everybody can relate to the feeling of not wanting to do a workout, dreading the workout, grinding through the workout, being like, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. And that feeling after where you're like, I'm so freaking glad I did that. I feel great. It's the same thing.
Like childbirth.
I don't know if that's the same.
I'm kidding. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it's the way you feel after a workout often leaves you feeling great the whole day. You telling me that's not going to help you show up in your day to day the way you want to show up in your day to day?
Yeah, and then okay, so is there anywhere else that you want to go with this before I kind of wrap things up?
No, I think we've covered lots. I hope it at least gives people something to think about or consider.
Cool. The other thing that we hear a lot is I really want to be a good role model for my kids. I want
Mm.
to keep up with my kids if they're, they're young and they're adventurous and you want to be doing the things with them. And then I want to role model health for my children, right? So as parents, we have these ideals of what we want to pass on to our children, what we want them to learn, right? And the thing is that, as you well know, especially in that toddler stage, they mimic what we do. They
Mm.
mimic what we are doing in our day-to-day lives, not just the things that we say, right? So if you are saying one thing and you are doing another, they learn not to trust, right? They learn to trust the action, not the
Mm.
words themselves. So if you're saying your health and fitness matters, what you're eating matters, and then you're not doing that in your own life, then they start to understand, okay, there's an incongruency here, right? If you're talking about yourself in a way where I know it matters, but like I feel fat or I feel ugly or I feel not worth it or no, it's more important than we get you to your stuff. Kids, they digest that and learn, okay, it's okay for other people to want those things, but it's not okay for me to want those things because mom is mimicking or showing she's not worth it. So what makes me worthy of it? Does that make sense? So
Totally.
it develops a lack of fundamental trust for ourselves and our own bodies. And as much as this is kind of like a bigger topic, it also creates a break in the attachment, right? The attachment style from parent figure to child, where they learn to feel this insecurity because mom says one thing and does another. And this is really odd. How is this going to help me feel safe and survive this world? So when you are congruent with what you say matters and you go out and do it, that builds trust. That's integrity, right? That's what you get to pass on to your kids as a role model.
I got bad news for you. They also mimic the things that come out of your mouth.
Yes, I do. I know. I know.
And it's gonna surprise you the first time they do
Yeah. Oh, I know this.
it.
Anyway, like you said, I this is done with the most amount of love to give you a butt kicking with love. If you were on the fence about your needs and your priorities, and asking whether or not you truly deserve to be healthy and the best version of yourself, you don't deserve that 15 years from now or when the kids leave. You deserve that right now.
And it's not perfection, guys. We're not screaming at you to seek perfection or seek the best. We're screaming at you to challenge yourself and seek better. And that could literally be adding a 5 minute walk to your current routine. It could be adding some vegetables to whatever other food you're making for those kids, for yourself, because you know you need some vegetables. Like we're not, this is not an all or nothing thing. There's opportunities every day to take one small step forward, and those small steps add up. They absolutely add up.
Love it. I had fun with you today.
Likewise.
Okay. Good. I'm glad. Sometimes you fault me for a lot of things here.
Ah, don't. That's not true.
I know, I'm just teasing. The tip that I wanted to leave people with, specifically moms today, is I've heard you guys. You give beautiful advice to your friends, to your family about prioritizing themselves, about what they are worth and what they deserve. My tip to you is to take your own advice because the way that you self negate you don't do to your friends, you don't do to your family and to your coworkers. So please take your advice that you're giving to others, internalize that and implement it for you.
Love it. That's perfect. Well said. Um, okay. Thanks, guys. Thanks for being here with us. I hope that at least gave you some food for thought. Even if you don't take action on this today, I hope you do take action on this today, but I hope it at least gave you something to think about. What I'd really love is if you found this useful, share it to your story, tag us in it, tag any of your other mom friends that could benefit from hearing this message, or send it to them if you don't want to post it publicly. But I think this is something that we start to need to make normal for all of you guys that are you guys, I guess you girls, I should be saying, that are burning the candle at both ends every day. We appreciate you. We love you. Take this opportunity for yourself.